Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us the founders of Buy My Jewel, Mr. Bhupendra Kapure and Mr. Rajat Kaur. Hi Rajat and Bhupendra, welcome to ELI.
Hello, good morning and happy
Hi,
Republic Day.
Priyandan.
I would request both of you to introduce yourself to our audience. I would start with Bhupendra.
Yeah. Uh, I started my entrepreneurship journey say 5 years back. I started with a company named as Turbizo and it was in B2B cab aggregation domain. It was in Bangalore. After working for a while, I realized that the market in this domain is quite, closely fought, and there are two big players who have already done a lot of investments. At the same time, I got in touch with my old friends, Mr. Rajat and Mr. Shiburwan, and we were discussing the idea of, how to make the jewelry industry organized. Since Mr. Gaur comes from a jewelry background, we had fair idea of how it works, and we started discussing over it how to make it better, and that's why we started Biomagens 4.5 years back, and it has been a tremendous journey since then.
Over to you, Rajat.
Uh, Soon after completing my engineering days, I came back to my hometown and ventured into jewelry trading business. And from there on, I felt there were a lot of pain points in the industry. One of them, the key pain point which Bhupendra also mentioned was, how unorganized the industry is. And apart from that, I think during the interview we will also, uh, come along with a couple of challenges that we might have faced. In last 4 years, as again Bhupendra mentioned, we collaborated and started this Buy My Jewel journey, a B2B real jewelry e-commerce startup. And in particular, there is nothing much to add on. So as you said, as the uh, question I will go on, and we may add up to it.
Okay. Now I would like to understand what is Buy My Jewel. You want to tell us what is the company about in detail? What is the kind of traction you have got as a company?
Uh, it's a B2B real jewelry assisted e-commerce platform, basically. And it's India's first B2B startup in real jewelry segment. It's more about, you can call it a hybrid marketplace model where, there are sellers, there are buyers. Uh, there are, in the market, as I was saying, there are quality issues, one of the pain point. Then there is this issue of choice. Then the market itself is quite unorganized in a sense that a lot of gray economy become part of the jewelry sector. And then there are customization related challenges. So we wanted to address all that. Now currently we are a team of some 35 plus team members, and you know we have compartmentalized all these uh, workloads into, like, let's say, sales and marketing, and then finance, then then there is this back end. And we are trying to deliver best quality products to the retailers in the market, so that the end consumer can benefit from it and get the best out of let's say, currently we are positioned, and we are majorly focused in tier 3 4 markets. So the end consumers sitting in those markets can get a hold on the best quality products at a very competitive pricing. By Jewel, the end consumer can benefit a lot, and at the same time, the retailers are getting the best quality product at a very competitive pricing at their doorsteps. So I think if Bhupendra wants to add, you know.
Yeah. So see, I mean, before we come to the benefits of how we are working, the major question was how should we promote e-commerce in a business which is high value, and the e-commerce model doesn't exist in this industry, and why would somebody buy a very high value product which is very design specific from us? So there are a lot of issues that needs to be addressed. Number one was trust. Why should somebody put say a major amount, say 10 lakh rupees worth of jewelry? Why should he buy from us when he hasn't seen us? You know, with traditional e-commerce players who are offering into small ticket sites, people are still ready to take the risk. But in the market where we were working, we were still an unknown player. So kind of trust issue was one. Second was service delivery. I mean, the kind of markets we are serving, that like well sir said, we are delivering into tier 3 and tier 4 markets where internet penetration itself is the issue, and we wanted to deliver our jewelry with the insured shipment into these markets. So these are the operational challenges. Number three was technological challenges. Like I said, internet is the issue. Apart from that, having an application which shows them real-time jewelry and then having those retailers trained on this is another challenge. So the journey till now was, I mean, full of challenges. We are delighted, and we are thankful that we got a team who is well equipped to take these challenges, and journey till now was not very smooth, but it was I mean, every now and then we have overcome a small challenge every now and then.
Okay, interesting. Now, tell us how did both of you come together? What is the common linkage you had before starting this venture?
So Rajat sir, would you like to?
Actually, Miss Shuchi and Bhupendra were college friends during their B school time in Symbiosis, Pune. And, we all were mutual friends. And when the thought of uh, incubating Biomadual came into our mind, the first name that struck us was to figure out what he's into. And even in the early days of his college times, he tried his hands on some uh, you can say he has this entrepreneurship kind of stuff in his um, going through him. So we wanted to know what he's into currently. And at that time, as he mentioned as well, he was into a startup called Turbizo. But when we called him up, and he was very much willing, and it started as a venture started by three friends all together. And just things rolled on, और वहां से शुरू होता चला गया.
Okay. Um, Now, coming to the financial aspect of it, when you start a venture, you need some seed capital. How did you arrange the initial round of funds to build this venture?
We invested some 20 lakh rupees into the venture. We kept trying to have a minimum burn. A couple of years went into the experimentation phase, basically. In first 2 years, we can say that we were trying to figure out what would be the business model actually. And we were trying to keep the burn at a minimum, so that we didn't expanded our team size, we didn't invest a lot in the tech. uh, the more we could know about the business, the more we could know about our client was our top notch priority. We had to know the seller and the buyer side. And once we got a very fair idea of how the market works, and how what would be the pricing. And we made some business transactions in first 2 years. And when we figured out that I think this would be the model, and this is the way forward, we also got hold of one strategic partner who poured in some money. And I think from there on, the focus is majorly on bringing revenue on board and try to be profitable as soon as possible. And I think in next couple of months, the company would be in a self-sustainable mode. So we invested a very bare minimum capital, and I think currently we have a run rate of around 35 crores in this financial year alone. So we are growing by 3 to 4 times every year, and trying to bring profitability on board so that uh, we can then use that money to invest majorly in tech and on our scalability.
Yes. So like it happens in relay race. You don't run very fast in first 2 3 laps because you just wanted to know what is happening around. So exactly what we did,
Yes.
we built some connections from vendor side. We have expanded into known territories, unknown territories, into different markets, into rural areas, tier 3 4 towns. We got to know what they exactly want. Though we had some fair idea of what they want, because Rajat G is also from the same field, but it's not uniform across the UP, and it's not across uniform across the regions where we operate. So we got to know with little bit of experiments what which products do well and how do we shape our product strategy. So first 3 4 years went into this, and like I said, the game was more of a trust. So we had to garner some traction before we can speed up the cash burn. So in last 1 year, then we realized that we have done enough onboarding in terms of retailers, in terms of vendors, and then we invested in tech, and the tech is up and running for last 1 year, and we have been getting tremendous response from all the sectors, be it from vendors, be it from retailers, be it from anybody else who is associated with us. So now it's a time for us, like Rajji said, now it is time for us to make the churn the profit and turn into a greener company in terms of financial earnings.
Okay. Now, I would like to understand a bit on the team building part. I understand that you have built a good team under you, which is often called as the core team in any startup. I'd like to understand what kind of people you have onboarded to your venture, and how do you go about while hiring any new person on board. What is the typical procedure you follow uh, uh, um, to shortlist them or to bring them on board?
See, our industry is still a closer one. So a lot of things still come from references. So suppose we want people with a very specific competency, like counter operations. So we still source people from our references. That is a small part of our hiring strategy. Some of our hired are very good professionals. They come from very good industry backgrounds. Like our creative director is coming from Balaji Telefilms. Another photographer, lead photographer, is also coming from the same company. So there are professionals who are also coming and joining us. So apart from reference, I think we hire people based on their attitude more than the skills. So because I mean, firmly believe that attitude will take them miles away, while the skills can be developed. Having said that, we also understand and value that the performance is the supreme criteria for anybody's appraisal. So, time and again, we keep on doing appraisals, and we also keep in mind that on appraisal are based on not only on attitude but also on their shown skills. Rajat, would you like to add on it?
As Bhupen rightly said, I would say that we have been pretty fortunate to get hold on certain professionals who were from the industry, basically and most importantly on the creative side. But at the same time, the focus are on two things related to hiring. Number one is improving the count with disciplined hiring, and number two is improving the productivity. As sir said that the focus while on hiring is more on the attitude, but at the same time, in every vertical and sub vertical, we are trying to groom the team and try to figure out that we can get hold on one admin who can be accountable and take the complete responsibility to lead that vertical. So Biomanual and the entire co-founders team, everybody is trying to make sure that every vertical is being led by one admin, so that the co-founders can more and more focus on the strategy part rather than on looking at the execution of the things. So, and this strategy is paying well off. I think in every vertical, be it sales or marketing or finance or dispatch or logistics or creative side, even in the sales team, we have admins at every nooks and corner, and this is helping us a lot in focusing more on the strategy part of the company.
Correct.
Okay.
So, we call these admins as our pillars. So, in each and every department, we have our pillars who are basically responsible for growing the subjected area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Now tell us what is the vision. I understand you have got good amount of traction and the business has become sustainable now. Having said that, I would like to know what is the vision forward. What is the ultimate venture or the product you want to build out of by my jewel?
Bhupendra, would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So, see, the vision is to grow and become the ultimate meat for our end customers. So, our end customers are basically jewelers. So, we want to be their preferred choice, most preferred choice in terms of pricing, in terms of service delivery, in terms of quality, and thereby doing that, we want to, grow the entire ecosystem of jewelry. Like we initially mentioned that this entire jewelry sector is much more unorganized. So there are a lot of players who we don't see very often. Like there are karigars, there are small time semi wholesalers, there are small time retailers who are doing a very good job in their individual capacity for the entire value chain. But due to lack of various reasons, I mean the lack of capital, lack of skills, lack of access to good advice, they are not able to contribute meaningfully, number one. Number two, they are not able to contribute in terms of taxable income. So most of their earning is going into say black economy. So we want to kind of organize this sector, and by thereby doing it, we've also wanted to become the most preferred choice for all of our retailers.
So, as he said, number one would be mainstream transitions of the buyer side. Number two would be to build a tech-enabled ecosystem where we are connected with more than 10,000 jewelers. Number three would be, to make the flow of inventory more streamlined uh, from seller to buyer, and offer best quality jewelry and services. And number four would be, to even reach out to the last mile end consumer who can then buy from a Buy My Jewel designated jeweler and get the best quality and best pricing jewelry from that particular counter.
Okay. What are the challenges you have faced so far while building and growing this venture?
Mindset. Mindset is one of the foremost challenge, I think, that we are facing. As somebody rightly said, mind is not the problem, mindset is. So mindset is one of the problem. People are not tech savvy in the market where we are positioned, basically the tier 3 4 markets, where, as sir said, the internet itself is a problem. But people mindset takes them away from using any kind of tech or app to place orders and to showcase the jewelry to the end consumer. So One would be the mindset. Second is people are not tech savvy. Third is, the market deals in a lot of gray, so they face a lot of problem while doing online transactions, banking transactions. They would prefer cash routes. So third is, as I said, to make them work as per the books.
Raising well-equipped salesman power. We when we want people to work in tier 3 and tier 4, we usually do not get that kind of talent, which is very much required for the success of any organization. I mean, if we want to source good manpower at say tier 1 or tier 2 level, we still get a hold of it. But for tier 3 and tier 4, getting a very good motivated manpower who is able to communicate the company's value is still a kind of challenge. Though we try to fulfill the gap by a very good training model, in-house developed training model, but I still feel, I mean, it would have been better if you would have access to such a good, say, manpower resource pool. So these are another two challenges which I would like to add upon.
I have many more questions, but due to time constraint, I'll just limit it to one. And this is kind of my the crux of the discussion. Tell us, to the young entrepreneurs out there who are listening to this episode, tell us what are the interesting lessons you have learned as an entrepreneur. I'll ask both of you to answer this in turn. First, I would like to start with Rajat.
Uh, One thing that comes to my mind is, most of the startups think, yeah, or somebody, who want to start up is, they focus more and more on from where will they arrange the funds, from where will the money come into the picture, and how can they get invested and, get all that, money on board from day one. And how do we start if we don't have that kind of budget? The idea is too big and all that stuff. So, my message to all the upcoming entrepreneurs would be that, don't focus on that aspect from day one. The most important thing is, help comes in the way when you get going. And you need to focus more on the planning and the execution part. You need to focus more on to the, you know, build a team. That's more important. And once you get some traction, some run rate on board, once you actually pass through this ideation phase, that would be a wise time when you can focus more and more on look for fundraising and all that stuff. So many would-be entrepreneurs don't start their journey because they focus more on what they don't have, and they are not focusing actually on what they can do with the idea that they have. So my message to them would be, just get going, understand the pain points of the market, start building a team, chalk out your execution plan, execute it well. You can get a lot of strategic mentorship from different quarters, but ultimately it is you who has to execute it well. And once a disciplined execution is on roll, I don't think that fundraising would be a concern at all. In fact, if you can build a sustainable or a profitable business, I don't think you would even require that kind of fundraising, to maybe while scaling it up, maybe while expanding, you may seek out for that. But you got to build a solid company first before you can reach out to anybody who can take interest in your company.
Okay.
Very well summarized. I think because we all work on the same philosophy, I think these are the same points that I would like to, emphasize upon. Uh, Again, in a different words, I would say that a lot of people think very much about the idea and how to, uh, what are the kind of challenges that we will be facing. So they spend a lot of time in starting up. My advice would
Hmm.
be just to not think too much about what could be the future of our industry in next 10 years. Instead of that, we just need to think of what could be the possible solution for next 3 to 4 years. That would what could be the possible solution for medium time frame. And if we are able to provide a solution for medium term time frame, I think by the time we'll be looking for a longer horizon, we will be looking for a longer time horizon. We would have come up with a better solution. But the emphasis would be to start effectively. So, like Rajat said, build your tech, build your team. Most importantly, build your team and pay much more focus on systems and processes and how do we are going to expand and earn revenues. A lot of times I have seen people who complain too much about absence of tech. See, again, tech is a secondary thing. First of all, you need to have a viable business model, and if it is in place, and we think that we'll be able to churn some revenue, then tech comes as a helping. But tech cannot be the sole performer of any business model. So we need to understand that. And like Rajat sir said, raising a very good team is far more essential than anything else.
Okay. On this note, I'd like to close this session. I must say it was a great pleasure to host both of you here at ELI. And our
Thank you.
audience would have got good lessons from this video. Thanks for your time, Rajat and Bhupendra.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, that is it from my side, and my best wishes for Buy My Jewel.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Priyaranjan. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Viewers and listeners, do connect with Rajat and Bhupendra on LinkedIn. That is it for today's episode. We'll be back with another exciting entrepreneur. Stay tuned to ELI.